All right, everybody. Fender has released the new American Professional Classics. We've been sitting on this knowledge for a while. Glad the rest of you know. Everyone seems excited. We're going to break down the whole line for you, so stick around. Hey, you're watching Alamo Music TV. My name is Chris McKee.
My name is Cooper Greenberg.
We're here with Alamo Music in San Antonio, Texas. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, turn on notifications, like our videos. If you want to support the channel, you can visit our spring store link below for custom swag, check out our podcast, or just buy things from us. That also supports the channel. So I'm excited about these. I've been excited about these for a while. You know, I'm just going to say this at the onset, not a perfect analogy, but it feels almost like American standards have kind of made a return in many ways.
Yeah, and I think the Performer line was one that, has had no refresh in quite a while, and we're kind of deep into the Pro 2s being around. We've just gotten new Ultras and Ultra Lux Vintage, and the AV2s have been around for a while, but the kind of entry point to the American guitars has not had a refresh, and also all price points have gone up, which is kind of the one thing that's interesting about these is this is the new entry point to the American
for
line.
a U.S. made guitar Fender.
But I would argue, even though yes they're priced higher than at least $100 higher than what the Performers were, I do think that they're more in line with what people are looking for, because as the name says, they're a little more classic, and visually I can't really distinguish that visually from like a Pro 2 besides the color.
Yeah, and it's a really good color. Who doesn't like Fiesta Red?
Yeah, that is, it's interesting. From where I'm sitting, I can see Josh's monitor of us on the screen, and I'm looking at the Fiesta Red Strat and the Butterscotch Tele, and I'm like, this is the thumbnail from our American Vintage 2 video. I'm pretty sure.
It's funny because they're aptly named because they're kind of quintessential Fender. Even the colors they've picked, I think, nail it. Josh was saying this before we started rolling, that, some people liked some of the colors in the American Performer series. Some people didn't like some of the colors. I think what they've picked in this lineup is kind of out of the park. But yeah, I mean, can you get more classic Fender than a Fiesta Red Strat and a Butterscotch Tele?
No.
I mean, that's pretty much there. Like the Performers, this whole series does a few things in order to get the price point where it's at. Still made in the USA. You go with classic hardware, which, by the way, would kind of be what you'd get in a lot of ways if you just went with a vintage guitar.
Yeah.
So for a lot of people, that's fine. So you don't get the modern, hardware. You get classic hardware, and you get a gig bag. I'm fine with that. I do wish this was ash. I get why it's not. I'm okay with that. It's nice looking alder, and that's kind of a cheesy deal. They've also tinted the neck, which is an interesting choice to go with. That works.
It does work, and it's the same kind of very comfortable satin that we are familiar with on the Pro 2s. I just think, one, they did these right. This is probably the sort of up in your face. These are the two that you may have seen: the Fiesta Red Strat SSS version and the normal Butterscotch Tele. But they do have other guitars in the lineup, which I have my own things to say about. There are offsets, and there's other pickup configurations for these guitars, some of which we're going to show you. We have not gotten the offsets yet. There's a Jag and a Jazz. For those of you who don't abbreviate like I do, Jaguar, and the Jazzmaster.
Jazzy Master.
We're going to see those next month, maybe?
Yes, so they're supposed to arrive in November. And you know what? It's funny. I don't know why it's always the case when there's a launch that the offsets seem to kind of take a bit to come in.
It's the offset lovers always getting the short end of the stick, which is Fender thinking, well, people are going to buy the Tele and the Strat. Let's get those out first, which that's fine. It's a business that you got to run.
Well, let's go through the specs real quick. So this one, straight ahead Strat, 5-way selector, volume 2 tones. You get classic hardware, so bent steel saddles, bent steel saddles. You get the 6-screw tremolo, which works just fine if you set it up correctly, honestly. The new pickups are called Coastline, meant to evoke the sunny coastline of California, not to be confused with maybe the coastline of New Jersey or something like that. So keep that in mind. They're great sounding pickups.
Yeah.
You know, modern C shape. They're calling these kind of 57 Strat pickups.
Yeah.
57, if you think about it, because we've done 54s, 57s into the 60s. That's kind of the sweet spot where there's a bit more gain and a bit more mid-range and kind of body to
Some
them.
of that more roundness. That's
Yes, but not quite all the way into the 60s
Yeah.
sound that got even more warm sounding. So yeah, it's got a really comfortable neck. I feel like they've done some of that shaping around, the edges of the fretboard,
edges.
probably executed in a better way than I've seen sometimes. The classic gear vintage tuners I'm a fan of. So these first showed up on the Player 2s, and they are basically F-style classic tuners without the screws on the back. They mount like a modern tuner does. There's a few benefits to that. If you want to swap them out, it's an easy swap. You don't have to worry about the changes, in kind of the diameter that your shaft would go through, or anything like that.
Look out.
But I'm a fan of these tuners. If you haven't used the F-style tuner before, you pull the string to a particular, what is the word? Length. You cut it, you put it down into the tuner, bend it, and tune it up. It's like a locking tuner in a lot of ways.
I like them.
And I like them a lot. I built a parts caster. I put the vintage style on there. So I do like that's on there. And yeah, just classic looking hardware from this Strat.
Yeah.
Same thing from the Tele.
Same
really.
thing with the Tele. You do have 3 brass saddles instead of the 6 saddles on the Tele. Wiring on here, these are 63 coastline, so they're going after more of a 60s Tele sound. But yeah, this is the normal 2 single coil 3-way switch. Like I said in a short video that we put out yesterday, everything you need, nothing you don't.
You know what strikes me right now is they haven't put any kind of nomenclature that these are going after a particular era. Probably because they don't want to take away from the Vintera guitars that are a similar price point, honestly. But that's a single ply blackguard on a butterscotch. That's a classic 50s look of a Tele with 60s pickups.
Yeah.
And this is a very, very much a 60s looking Strat with 50s pickups. So
that's the thing.
That's cool.
With the rosewood board on there, Fiesta Red, faded Fiesta Red.
Yeah. Ordered in England and then sat in the window. There you go.
You've got sort of the aesthetic that a lot of people, I think the 61 Fiesta Red American Vintage 2 has probably been our top seller of that line. Now this is, I'm gonna say probably $1,000 less.
Yep.
At this point. And same with this one, which is the 51 Tele is probably the other bestseller. These guitars start at $14.99 based on the pickups that you get and the shape that you're getting. They go up from there. But the 51 Tele and the 61 Strat are kind of the sort of pinnacle of that vintage style stuff. And if you want to spend about $1,000 less, get an American-made guitar, these are really good options.
And these have a modern radius on them, versus the 7 1/4, you're at 9 1/2.
Which, who doesn't like that?
I mean, a lot of people have issues. I had the 51 for a while. I sadly had to sell it. I have a new Tele in my life now. But one of the things that occasionally I have to use a capo. I know it's cheating, so are frets. Get over it. And I was like, I have to use a different capo for this guitar because it's 7 1/4 radius.
Yeah.
And it was the only one like that. I didn't otherwise not like it, but you do have to just kind of be aware of things. So yeah, I think this works really well.
So I'm gonna set this down and we're gonna do an assembly line. I'm handing you this.
I like this color.
A couple Sherwoods.
This, after the classic colors, this is probably my favorite color in the lineup. So
I think it's great. Obviously, I
Sherwood
did a
Greenberg.
Sherwood Green Strat. And these are examples of some of the other pickup configurations that you can get. Strat HSS.
Yep.
And what they're calling a hotshot Telecaster, what I think most people refer to as Nashville. But yeah, this is if you want a little extra something,
Well, if you like Tele bridge pickups, Tele neck pickups, need in between sounds, and you prefer that form factor, You don't need a tremolo. I mean, there's something so beautiful about the simplicity of a Telecaster. You know, cutting board with a neck, all of this time later. Is it as ergonomically comfortable as the body of a Strat? It's not. Is it straight ahead, just constantly in tune and a really kind of workhorse for the working musician? It absolutely is.
Yeah.
This would be your more versatile Telecaster.
If you're in a variety country band like I am, and you want to get a B-bender on a guitar, but you don't have Brent Mason money like I do.
You have Brent Mason money?
No. If
you don't have
The start of that was, and if you want to put a B-bender and you don't have Brent Mason money, basically what I'm getting at is I can't afford a Brent Mason Telecaster. But you can get something like this and put a Glazer bender in it and, you know, basically have spent more than just buying the Brent Mason.
I think what you're saying.
It's cool.
I love you say that because I already know what your plans are.
Yeah.
And that's just an insight into Cooper's plans because he's like, I'm thinking about getting one of those and putting a B bender in it.
I need a bender, dude. I need a bender. But this is.
I have one of those stretchy straps on my Tele, so I just pretend it's a bender and then nothing happens.
I do the same thing. Yeah. So this has got a mix. These are the 63 pickups. This is a 57 pickup. So literally mixing.
57 Strat pickup.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So that's the same pickup, middle pickup that's in that Strat. Is this also 57? Yeah. So the same.
Yeah.
This same pickup is there, and then you're going to get the Tele.
Tele
narrow single coil humbucker, I like to call it.
So I do think that's an interesting thing because one might say, why would I get the Hot Shot, aka Nashville Telecaster, instead of a Strat? But the outer pickups are different and differently voiced, and this will give you a different sound. However, positions 4 and 2 are going to give you the Stratty, the creaminess, the quackiness. Everything that you like from the Strat is in here, but all the stuff that you need from the Tele is.
Yeah, it's got all those classic Tele sounds, the Jekyll Hyde behavior that you can get in between sounds that you otherwise typically can't get. Mm-hmm. If you don't use a tremolo and you prefer the locked-in tuning of the string through body, the sustain that you get out of that, it's better. And I'm a fan of the brass saddles on a Tele. You know, it's a softer metal than steel. It tames shrillness that would otherwise be there with that really bright, bridge pickup. And the bridge pickup on a Telecaster is just awesome. It's vintage high gain is the best way to think about it. And I'm a fan. So.
But if you need even more of a bridge position push, go HSS.
Yeah. So if you want the fat sound of a humbucker, here you go. Same layout, same hardware and everything that is on the Fiesta Red 3 single coil that we looked at. Only with a humbucker, and there's no fancy push-pull or anything like that. You get a humbucker in the bridge, and you get all of your other sounds in between. And if you are playing actual high gain, you want to not have to deal with 60-cycle hum that's going to raise the noise floor on what's already probably a very noisy amp and pedal board setup. Humbucker is where you want to go. You need the quietness, otherwise it kind of gets out of control.
If you don't want the hum, just buck it. Well, I got to play all 4 of them. There will be more. There are basses, there are offsets, but these are the ones that we got, so take a listen.
All right, so there you have it, the wonderful playful stylings of one Cooper Sherwood Greenberg. I do want to mention something that you brought up to me that I think is a good call, and it goes into something else. I think these are awesome mod platforms. You're already talking about kind of doing something like this and modding it. You and I both think that Strat would look better with a tortoiseshell pickguard.
Yes.
And I happen to agree. It's funny because at first I was like, was it a cost savings thing? Well, no, this has a tortoiseshell pickguard.
Yeah,
it was just a decision being made. But you could swap that really easily. That would be a cool color choice to go with. You could do white, it'd probably look cool too. Cream, whatever. But yeah, I think they are great mod platforms. Josh was asking about the brass saddles. I want to bring these up. So they're vintage style brass saddles, but they actually go beyond the vintage styles, because if you ever play a vintage Tele or a reissue, your string will kind of like move around, and they've gone through and they've kind of created a channel for the string to sit in, and it looks like these might have a bit of some intonation going on with them because they're not perfectly across like a vintage Tele would be. All of that to say that would be better and an improvement quite a bit. But I also noticed, because I've gotten this question before on some of the Teles and other guitars we featured before, what the screw layout is and whether or not you could mod this section of it fairly easily. And this looks like the traditional screw layout that's on a vintage but also a Pro 2. I might not be 100% on that, but it certainly looks like it. So yeah, you could probably swap that out pretty quickly if you wanted to change out the hardware or do something pretty cool. Yeah. I don't know that you need to, though, but adding a D-bender would be killer.
It would be cool. I think that's the thing, is these are really straightforward instruments and would be very easy to modify, but if you were just looking for a high quality American made Fender and this being your new entry point, I think it is something that doesn't necessarily cut corners like sometimes I felt like the Performers did a little bit.
There are a few things that this doesn't have, rightfully so, that you would get from the Pro 2. So I think, I've seen this already, like in Reddit subgroups of like, why with these coming out would you get the Pro 2? And I can answer that question for you. It's a few $100s more expensive, right? You're going to get a hard shell case, instead of a gig bag. You're going to get staggered tuners that are more modern. You're going to get 2-point tremolos, on the Strats. Different pickups. You're going to get additional switching configuration. You're going to get a micro tilt neck joint. These do not have the micro tilt, so that's one thing to make note of. It's more, really in that particular case, we kind of go back into the vintage stuff, right? That's pre-CBS era stuff. So this is more like a 50s, 60s Strat and Tele, since it lacks that feature. But you do have a top of the headstock truss rod adjustment. So yeah, kind of blending the lines between vintage and modern with these guitars for a good budget. So all that to say, there's a reason that you might still want to go Pro 2. I think it's worthwhile to compare them, since you might prefer one of these, honestly, and save yourself some coin. And that's obviously the next video we should do with these guitars, is compare them to the Pro 2s that you can get for a few $100s more.
We should compare Pro Classic, Pro 2, Ultra 2, Ultralux Vintage, Vintage 2, Player 2. Yeah, every Strat.
Every Strat and Tele.
You got 2 hours.
In the world.
Yeah. No Ventura road warns on that one, though. I think that they are a welcome refresh in the entry point of the American line, and I think most people will enjoy them better than the Performers, and a lot of people miss having a Strat from America that you get for $1,500, because now they're more than that in the Pro Tools.
$1,800. Yep.
So I think, we talked about you can always add a hard shell case on. You could add a mono bag on. You could add a gator case on. There's other options that, like, it's a fine gig bag. It's not horrible, but it is a very basic Fender gig bag. That, to me, is the biggest thing that's missing from these, because most people want, for their over $1,000 guitar, they want a hard shell case. That's less and less of a thing. Now it's maybe $1,600, $1,700, $1,800 those are included. So you don't have to just get a Fender thing. There are other options out there that are really high quality, either bags or cases. But if you don't need a hard shell case, and that's not something that you're immediately adding on,
or like me, you already have a gig bag you use for your guitars.
You don't have anything to worry about. I think the guitar itself is a high quality thing that they did a good job on.
Yeah. So let us know your thoughts, what you like in the color series from the lineup. I think we picked these initially for our order to come in because these were our favorite colors. The faded black was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some different ones in there. So love to hear what you guys' thoughts are. And what's your favorite one in the lineup overall? I think the Hot Shot's my favorite.
The Hot Shot, to me, is the one that's like, I could use this right away. Yeah. I think it's, and value-wise, I think it's cool.
And it's something that has been missing from the Pro series, so that's kind of a benefit. Most of these other guitars represent something you can get a more expensive version in the Pro 2 line. They haven't had a Nashville Tele. Yeah. It's kind of been missing, and so yeah, if you didn't get the flat painted Brent Mason Valley Arts renewed model for a lot of money. Yeah. By the way, did you notice that video I sent you the other day? There's one cat in the back was playing an original Valley Arts.
Really?
Yeah. Anyways, some people have all the luck. So let us know in the comments what you think about these guitars, if you plan to get one. And if you do, you can get one from us, supporting the channel, right, at our website, which is
alamomusic.com.
If you're new to our channel, make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, like our videos, share it, comment, keep coming back for more. We'll see you next time.